we on? Hello everyone and welcome to Beer Sweden Television. What's that all about? Queen bathed in light. We're still outside. This is an outdoor episode. We have promised, we said in the past, Trev, that we're going to stay outside as long as is humanly possible. What do you reckon temperature check, Trev? What do you reckon
it's about 8 now.
8 degrees? Look, can you see it? Can you see it? Dragon's breath?
No,
yeah, you can't see it. Anyway, it's pretty cold, but 8 degrees is actually a little bit too cold for this beer that we're going to be trying today. That was a nice little link in, Trev, wasn't it? I like that. The beer that we're going to try today, by the way, it's another little smash and grab episode. There's a lot going on right now, Trev, Beer Sweden. Have you seen? Is it
a smash and grab?
It's a smash and grab.
You said that last time, I didn't put it in because...
You didn't put it in, well this time, can you do that little...
Yeah, but not if you're going to go on for 15 minutes.
I won't, I promise. I'm going to keep this tight. This is going to be done in under 10 minutes. And by the way, everyone, Beer Sweden Trev didn't sleep very well last night. In fact, I don't think you slept at all, did you?
Things got a bit at all.
So it's even more grumpy than normal.
Just get on with it.
Really great. Okay, so the beer we're going to try is this one, Traquair House Ale, that came out in the Systembolaget fairly recently, and it's one that comes out every year, the Systembolaget. And I'll tell you what, I've tried it for several years now, and I know it's going to be wonderful. It's a stunning, strong, British strong ale. I nearly said English there, Trev, but that wouldn't be right, would it? Now, the story behind Traquair House Ale is fascinating. I always love the stories behind beers. I think they're just as... they make beers, as far as I'm concerned. And the story behind Traquair House Ale is extraordinary. But it's a bit like, Trev, it's a bit like trying to drink a history lesson, or a Scottish history lesson. It is so complicated that I'll tell you what I've done, and I don't normally do this, but I'll tell you what I've done. I've actually got a little cheat sheet here, because there's dates and stuff like that, and I can't... they just don't stick. So I've printed a little bit out, so I do apologise if I refer to my cheat sheet, but I do want to get it right. Now, the story behind Traquair House. It's the oldest inhabited house in Scotland. Did you know that, Trev? The oldest inhabited house in Scotland. Let me put it here so that I can read it properly. Originally it was a castle that was owned by this Scottish king during the medieval times. Okay. Now I'm gonna skip an awful lot of Scottish history here. If you wanna learn about Scottish history, please go and actually download or rent Braveheart, because that's obviously, it's all there. But if we fast forward to 1965, then Peter Maxwell Stewart, who was the 20th Laird of Traquair, he was basically taking a walk through the house. Now you have to imagine, this is a car. This is massive. This place, even bigger than Beer Sweden Trev's house, right? It's that big, huge. And he was wandering along, looking, you know, down one sort of lost wing somewhere, and all of a sudden he opened the door and he found a microbrewery in it, in the room. Trev, what do you think of that? I love that. How big has that house got to be to actually, you can lose an entire microbrewery? But that's what he did. He found one.
Was it squatters?
What? No squatters. Apparently no squatters. No, they shoot squatters in Scotland. And apparently that's legal. So he found out this brewery actually hadn't been used since 1566. And of course, during those days, it was very common for stately homes, for big, you know, estates and castles, to have their own microbrewery, because there were a huge amount of people that used to stay there. So it's very common for, you know, big stately homes to brew their own beers. They're very proud of them, actually. That's part of the very rich British brewing history. So basically they decided to sort of resurrect this microbrewery, and that is really what we're drinking today. Beer from the very same brewery on the estate, in the castle. Fascinating stuff. The equipment that's used, again, is all reconditioned from the original. So the beer itself, and this is absolutely fascinating stuff. The beer itself, the vessels, the equipment, they were untouched for all those hundreds of years. But since they've resumed production, they produce around about 200,000 bottles a year, plus a little bit of draft locally. And brewing takes place every month of the year except August. They have August off, but we'll give them that. That's fair enough. They are basically have always said that they've got a little bit of extra room for production, but they are never going to actually increase the size of the brewery. They're going to keep it exactly as it is. I like that too. This modern day of everything's got to be bigger and better, and so, or bigger, shall we say. They're actually saying, no, this is what we got, this is what we inherited, and this is what we're going to keep. Okay, now the ingredients, they are made from malt, well, from the spring water on the estate. Hops, yeast, barley, of course, are also thrown in there. They don't use any preservatives, any of that sort of razzmatazz. The malts is from Suffolk, which is in the UK, and they only use East Kent Golding hops. Got it? Okay. The method of production, blah 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 blah, pretty well straightforward. The really cool thing about it, it is fermented in oak over a period of 7 days, and then and these oak casks are over 200 years old. So I think that's probably about enough of that. But you'll see what I'm trying to get across. The point I'm trying to make is that there is an amazingly historical process that goes into the making of this beer. It really is. When we talk about wine, we talk about this process and so on and so on. Look at that. Isn't that glorious in the morning sun? Can you see that, Trev? Look, gun smoke and everything. Then we often sort of downgrade beer and think it's very simply made. Listen to the story behind that. Listen to the heritage behind it. This, as I say, is like drinking Scottish history. Here we go. We're going to pour it up. Now, this is a strong ale. When I say strong, I do mean strong. Look at this. It's absolutely stunning. 10% this one, Trevor. 10%. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. You've got a beautiful sticky head. And the smells of rum and raisin are just washing over me right here. We're going to, it's Scottish, Trevor. It doesn't matter. Muck, Trevor. We're going to give it a whirl. Oh. I'm going to do that again. Oh, exquisite, exquisite stuff. It's obviously got a lot of malt character to it. You've got a lot of chocolate. You've got a lot of rum, raisin. You've got a lot of a little bit of licorice, I would say. But this sort of almost, I'll tell you what it is, shortbread. It's like, you know those little Scottish shortbreads? Well, they Walkers, weren't they? Walker's shortbread, yeah? Little Scottish shortbread. Absolutely glorious, that's in there. It just feels rich and thick and elegant and tasty.
Is that red from your end? It looks black from you.
No, this is actually very dark, sort of dark mahogany. Dark mahogany. It just feels, opulent. Opulent, Trevor. I'm going to try some. Oh. It's quite bitter as well. It's got quite a nice bitter finish to it. Sweet. It's very sweet up front. It's dates, it's plums, it's prunes, it's all those dark, rich, booze-soaked fruits that's just going to hit the Christmas table beautifully. This bottle at Christmas is just a given. It's absolute given. You must buy some. It's got a very sweet malty burst up front, but very quickly you get some hops, and actually it's quite aggressive. It really is quite raspy at the end, which is good because, you know, too much sweetness to me is it turns you off, a bit cloying, but this isn't that at all. You've got some beautiful balancing bitterness and just a little curl of acidity there too. Actually, this is a young beer. Now, of course, 10%. The 2010 edition. I do like the new rebranding, by the way. This is the first year that they got this pressure sensitive labelling and all that sort of stuff. It looks pretty sexy, actually. I do like it. I do like it. It's a more modern interpretation of the old bottle. 2010. Trev, how long do you reckon we can keep this bottle for, do you reckon?
10%.
10%.
Good for you, what? Good 10 years, isn't it, at least?
Good 10 years, exactly. 10 years. I would say is about right, actually. 10, 15 years. But this is one of those bottles, as I've said before, buy several of them. Drink one this Christmas, drink one next Christmas, and so on. Because, seriously, like fine wine, this stuff deserves to be aged. It will evolve, it will change. Will it get better? Well, that's up to you to decide. One other little story before we go, because this is a smash and grab, and I could go on about this beer forever. Oh, other thing. Correct serving temperature. It's 8 degrees out here. That's not really warm enough. We need to be going above 10. I would say between 12 and 14 degrees would be the ideal serving temperature for this beer. Trev, if you look, can you zoom just on the back there? Can you see the picture of the estate, the castle there, yeah? Can you see it there? Yeah? Okay. Well, if you look really closely, when you buy a bottle, you look really closely, you'll see that these gates of Traquair House are shut. They're always shut. And apparently, here's the thing, that Peter Maxwell Stewart's daughter, Catherine, is currently the owner of Traquair House, and she is apparently the rightful heir or the Queen of Scotland. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah. If you sort of like, you know, extrapolate it all down, she should actually be the Queen of Scotland if, you know, the English hadn't come along and, you know, spoilt the party. And the rumour is, or the legend is, that the gates of Traquair House will open on the day that she is finally ascends the throne. How cool is that?
But that's got to be way back, even before Mary.
Don't start getting all there. But I'm not. It's not a history lesson. That's it. Smash and grab episode. So until next time, people.
Smash and grab.
Yeah, and that doesn't. Yeah, you've had a little bit, you know, to do with all of this. To be honest with you, Queenie. Until next time, people.
You leave her alone.
I apologise, man. Cheers and beers.
Are you great heaving jobby? You've been rate it.